Hey everyone, welcome back again to what? The iConis podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Barry 3D for Deep Dark Delicious. You know how the deal goes. And at any time you want to find where I'm going to be or what I'm doing or anything we have on this podcast or any other stuff, because I do stand-up comedy, go to barry3d.com. Has everything in the tour dates, everything on my blog, and all that stuff, and links to everything we do, including all the social media for my solo stuff and the iConis podcast. Now, the iConis podcast always has another host, and that other host is my cousin, that caramel chocolate looking brother who will make the sounds thunder, spinning the turntables asunder, bringing down the gods of light and thunder. You know, we're not talking about Thor, Love and Thunder. I'm talking about the one and only, my cousin, my co-host, my compadre, my partner in crime, the one and only who?
DJ Rod C. What's up, people?
Rod C.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of iConis. Listen, we're gonna have some fun today. Okay, cool. Yeah, let me control, composure, control.
Ladies, guys, you good? You good?
I think I'm good. Listen, shout out to the man that called Tyler. Tyler, I hear you. I know your mother. He knows your mother. He doesn't know who I'm talking about yet. No. JB's son. I saw JB last week at an event, and she said, my son listens to you guys like religiously. I'm like, oh, really? So shout out to the man that called Tyler. What's up?
Tyler, shout out. Oh my gosh. I remember when I went down, and this is funny. Okay, half a second off subject. I'm a huge F1 fan. I mean, I used to be a fan when I was younger, fell off of it, got back on, watching Drive to Survive and all the Formula One stuff. My brother-in-law got me back into it. Thank you very much, Dave. And I've been watching it fiercely for the past few years, and loving every minute of it. So, I'm all about Team LH. And my birthday just passed June 14th, right? That was, last week. Had a good time. And a few years back, before COVID, I was down in Montreal. And in Montreal, I was saying, oh, man, I want to go downtown and hang out and just see, because they close off Crescent Street. So when they close it off, they have a lot of parties and all that downtown Montreal. Down there, Freddie James is playing live. Okay, cool. But then they brought out all, like, some of the F1 cars, and all the people come out to see the F1 events. And I ran into Jaliba and, so JB and Tyler, and we were there taking a whole bunch of pictures in front of, like, some of the race cars. So I will post some of those pictures up there. We saw Phantom Rolls Royces, right? We saw, at the time, the team was called Racing Point. So they had their pink cars with the BWT logos on them out there on Crescent Street. It was like arm's distance away. It was awesome. Yes. So Tyler, thank you for listening to the show, supporting the show.
Definitely.
Didn't know, but now we got you shouted out, man. And hopefully you remember that time, because we were talking about Dragon Ball and the whole 9 yards that evening, plus watching the cars. So that being said, thank you. To do it, of course, on the line of doing our shout outs. One, this whole world we talk about is comic books, and we love everything related to it. But to keep certain things going, you have to support the books, meaning you have to support the stores. That being said, Wild Comics out in Kitchener. My boy Wes, Ramon, Sydney, and Chris. Check them out. Warehouse of Wonder, 2 floors, like 500,000 books out there. And you'll see in upcoming episodes that I will have some statues that I picked up there myself personally. Beautiful. Nice. Oh, yeah. They hooked me up with some books from that way. So, yes, definitely Wild Comics. And if you're in Montreal, because I know when I'm in Montreal, that's where I'm going to go and see my buddy Trevor and Pierre and Dom and the other Pierre over at Check Swings out on the South Shore. Speaking of that, I will be in Montreal on August 26th, 27th with my comedy brothers, A Touch of Gray Matter. We are on tour, and we're doing 2 shows Friday night, 2 shows Saturday night.
Nice.
Woo! Right downtown Montreal on Saint Laurent Street. Everything is posted on my website. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to bring some madness. We have some special guests. And talking of guests, if you remember when we had Andrew Searles on here talking about Star Trek, Andrew Searles is in Montreal right now, performing different places. Me and him will be performing out in Kitchener on July 31st. over at the Crazy Canuck. And he's also doing a comedy show in Montreal, August 26th and August 27th. So on the same date that we're doing a show at a different location, he's doing his album taping. So, you know, you can see one of our shows. He's doing 2 shows. We're doing 2 shows. Hey, mix match. We'll have the crowd one night. He can have the crowd night. And then our crowds can intermingle and go to each other's show and have the best of all worlds while supporting comedy and seeing people appear on the show. Don't forget, we also have other fans of the show, or friends of the show, I should say. So one of them is Jimmy England, who does Back to the Balcony. Look for the black microphone on the red background. Can't miss it. A lot of fun. I'm on some of those episodes and looking forward to doing more. I think that sums it up for myself. Rod, where can people find you?
Ladies and gentlemen, you can find me, as I always say, on the World Wide Web. You can find me on Instagram at Mr. Rod C. Also, you can find me playing on Twitch at twitch.tv/DJ Rod C. Loving that, huh? Yeah, that was nice. There you go.
Loving it.
So you can find me up in there. Listen, we're gonna have some fun today. Oh, listen, no, we gotta do one more shout out.
We gotta do one more shout out. The man that makes us look so pretty. If you need overlays, you need posters, you need a logo, you need any kind of graphic art design, you got to reach out to the man that supports the show, and we support him. As always, the one and only. Say it with your chest, Rod. Who are we talking about?
J Bird, digital art.
J Bird Digital Arts. Tell Jason that you heard about him on the show. Look him up. Works great. Fair price. Can't go wrong. All around good guy. Comments in all our videos. Thank you, Jason, for supporting the channel. And we will always support you. And being said, we have merchandise. So if you go to one of our links, Redbubble, you'll see some of our merchandise there. And he did this kick-ass graphic design for the Touch of Grey comedy tour that we're doing in Montreal. It has, and we've got shirts. So if you're looking for the shirts with that logo on, reach out to myself, reach out to David Sokolowski, because that's myself. So it's Touch of Grey is me, David Sokolowski, Thomas Patrice, and Zulf Ali. Reach out to David Sokolowski. Shirts are $25 plus shipping and handling. Have one, support the team. There we go.
Let's go.
Now, we can get into the show today. For those who have seen the name, you know who it is, but we're going to break it down our way. So on today's show, the icon is...
Icon. Wait. How do we do that? Is the
right
icon
on iConis? The icon is
icon.
Icon by Milestone Comics.
Whoa.
We've been doing our Milestone Comic Month here just because Juneteenth is here. This is the month, and I think these characters and comics kind of represent that theme. So we kind of put this theme together. That was our little pitch. Yes, we do some work between the jokes and the music. And we saved Icon. I would say best for last, but we still got more to go. So on today's episode, I said we're talking about Icon, and Icon, in a bottom layman's terms, Black Superman. Okay, that's the archetype of the character. That's we know. There's no hiding about it. Very similar, kind of. Well, their origins have similarities, but there's those little nuances that make the difference. And we spoke about Rocket last week, who we said was the gateway, the eyes into Icon, and somewhat his social conscience. But now we're going to talk about the man who looks at things black and white. No pun intended. So, Icon, who is he? Where'd he start? Well, let's go. Right? So, Icon, even though it shows DC Comics as a publisher, Milestone Comics was a division of DC. They kind of their own little room where they did all the creative stuff together. The character was written by Dwayne McDuffie. Rest in peace. He's no longer with us for a while, but his work carries on. So thank you, Dwayne. Definitely. We're doing this with much respect and love for the characters you created. I wish you were here to hear and see how it's infected and impacted people more in a positive way. So Dwayne McDuffie was the one behind pretty much this whole world, the Dakota universe. The penciler was M.D. Bright. Right? It's almost like MC Light, but M.D. Bright. There we go. The inker was Mike Gustafich, and letters were by Steve Dutro. Forgive me for mispronouncing the names. I apologize. So this character is created by Dwayne McDuffie and MD Bright. Those are the two artists and the writer and the artist who created this character icon. And he was created in May 1993. And his comic book ran for 42 issues.
Right.
In total between the dates of 1993 up to 1997. Now, this character has had his own main run in his own book from issue 1. And we talked about his origin a little bit when we were talking about Rocket, but we're going to get back a little bit more into it. But from his side point of view, meaning he was an alien. He was on a freighter, a cruise ship. It got damaged. He got to the escape pod. You know, he ended up crash landing on Earth, right? Very Kal-El-ish. His normal skin color was like a blue skin color.
Yeah, bluish
right?
gray.
And when he crash landed on Earth, he didn't know what to do. So obviously, it's almost like Transformers, where when the Ark crash lands, it sends out like, probing. So he did the whole, he saw someone running towards him. He saw what they looked like, probed it, and then had his escape pod rearrange his molecular structure to make him look like that person.
Right.
Henceforth, they turned him into a little black baby. So he was a grown man, but got, changed into skin color, black. Because I'm black, y'all, and I'm black, y'all, and I'm blacker than black, because I'm black, y'all. And made him an infant. So when this woman came and saw this capsule, she didn't question it. It just opened up. She saw the baby. She took the baby out right away, and she ran away with the baby. Now, keep in mind why this is important is because when he crash landed on Earth, it was during the time of slavery in 1893. If I have my dates right from what the comic book told me. Oh, sorry, 1839. I had a dyslexic moment. Excuse me. So in 1839, that's where she picked him up and ran off. Now, his original name, is Arnus, Arnus. Hold on, I might get messing up my notes. Nope. I messed up my notes. Okay. Oh no, that's his name.
Arnus is his alter ego.
Yeah, his alter ego. That's his real name. Whoops. Okay. See, I wear glasses, but sometimes can't read my own reading moments. So his name is Arnus, and that's how he got up. So now here's where I think this is a different perspective. Crash landed on Earth, pretty much as did the whole baby thing in a spaceship. Got picked up by an Earth person to take care of and protect and raise as their own. Clark Kent landed on a farm. Present day.
Right.
Raised, okay. He got either adopted, how they want to do it. They've retconned his origin so often, but we all know came, crash landed on the farm or not too far away, found by the Kents, raised by the Kents.
Right.
He crash landed in 1839 during the time of slavery and was saved by a slave and raised during slavery.
Yep.
So he's seen everything from then to now. That's slavery. That's the Civil War. That's World War I, World War II, the Vietnam War, the Great Depression. He's long lived. We never get an idea of how old he is at that moment or how long his species can live for. That we just know they're long lived. They never really touched it. And he, stayed with that persona where he would get old to, a normal man kind of thing. And then he would fake his death to come back as his descendant, move around the country. Very intelligent. So he would go back to that spaceship. He used that spaceship to put knowledge in his brain to understand Earth, customs, culture, the whole 9 yards, education, and became a lawyer. All those years, with all the things that have happened, not once did he think to reveal his powers to anybody. And on top of that, he just kept that spaceship hidden. That spaceship was able to camouflage itself right away, turn invisible. We got it. The problem is he never gets rid of the spaceship because he needs it to fix the radio to communicate back home for someone to come and get him.
Right. He's basically waiting for Earth technology to reach up to give him the ability to fix his equipment to get, to leave planet Earth. But in the meantime,
Yes.
I will just secretly just be alive. And as Barry said, I passed away. I'm his son. Are you sure? No, I'm his son. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
And he's up to version 4.
Yes. Yes. You know, he went with the name Augustus Freeman IV. Augustus Freeman the Fourth. So he started off with Augustus Freeman, came back as Augustus Freeman the Second, came back as Augustus Freeman the Third, came back Augustus Freeman the Fourth. Clearly, this man's a fan of George Foreman.
Yeah, I guess so. Got those grills.
Got those grills. If you don't know about George Foreman, go and look up George Foreman and look up the name of George Foreman's kids.
Facts.
And then you'll catch, if you didn't know, now you know. Go and look it up. You'll see, he's like, wait a minute, is that a typo? No, he named his kids all the same, named after him.
Listen, as a side note segue, I've thought this many times and I keep forgetting to go and look for it. I wonder, how is it now that you have George Foreman III, who is a third son, because this is what Barry's trying to imply. If you didn't catch on, George basically named all his kids. All his kids. It's not descendants. It's not like after him, while the kids were alive, he gave them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 type of scenario. So when number 3 has a youth, does he call him 3.1?
Yes.
Is 4.1? Are they going to keep the trend of their grandfather has set up for them? Well, this is going to be interesting.
Okay, I like that.
Because you can't. It's hard to now say how are like George Foreman III Jr. So he's 3.2. If you want to say that, or 3.1.
That's right. It'd be like George Foreman 3.0, George Foreman 3.1, 3.2, 3.3. I think that's how he's going to name the grandkids. I don't know. I think he just named all the kids that one name. So this way he's got a couple of shots to the head that if you call it George, you can't hear the daddy. That's not my name. No. Y'all
that's
George.
Your name.
Y'all when I call George, I want you all to show up. When I say George, clean your room, I mean all of you. Wow, that household must have gotten confusing. I mean, he punched drunk. All right.
Sorry about to be a segue. We're back on track.
Stay on target. Stay on target.
Hold the line.
Right. So this is what he is. So at this point, by the time where the book picks up in issue number 1, he's Augustus Freeman IV.
Right.
He's a successful corporate lawyer living in a nice house, minding his business all alone. You know, and when you get into his history, you find that he did try to date someone on Earth, but of course, since he doesn't age like anybody else was, for him was one and done. Because it was painful to watch the woman that he loved get older. And it's not the fact that she got older, but she died and he's still here. Right. So he lives a very secluded life, always trying to wait for technology to catch up. He's worked with hardware to give hardware some technology that helps hardware with his suit, because hoping that hardware would, reverse engineer some of the tech so he'd be able to help fix his ship and the communication aspect of it. So this way he can reach out to the rest of his race and get picked up. I mean, pretty much he's on the side of the road waiting for space CAA.
That's basically, that's all it is. That's funny.
So while he's doing that, he's minding his own business. He's at home, and all of a sudden he hears some people breaking into his house. Now, him being him, he goes down there to take care of business, and he kind of sees these 4 teenagers, 3 guys, 1 girl, turns around, takes them. And it's one time that he shows off his power. You see that he has the power of flight. One of them freaks out, ends up shooting him. He falls down. He's like, oh my God, you killed him. Next thing you know, he sits up. He's like, no. You didn't kill me. I was just surprised that you would actually pull the trigger if you saw a man flying. And subdues all 4 of them, tells them, leave here. Don't press no charges. I'm not going to press any charges. Do something positive in your life. But if I find you do something else, I'm coming for you. If you reveal my secret, I'm coming for you. So he made that very clear. And that's the first time where he meets who would be his future partner at the time, Rocket.
Right.
Because he lets them go. And while she's there with one of the guys as her boyfriend, future baby daddy at this point. And she decides to go back and confront him saying, you have all these powers and you're turning around saying we have to do something better for our lives. And he goes, yep. If you don't do anything wrong, you won't have any problem with the law. You do something wrong, that's on you. It's very black and white. There's no shades of gray. He's not looking about the kind of systems keeping you down, because for him, he was a black man. He came up in slavery. So when Rocket's talking to him for the first time before she takes on that role. She's like, you don't understand what it's like to be the struggle. And he's like, oh, I don't understand. These are all the things I've gone through. I more than understand. And that's what she said. Well, if you understand so well, how come you're not doing anything? She's like, you should be a symbol for our people. You should stand out and show why we should have some hope and look up to someone like you. And he's like, oh, why? Just because I can fly? He's like, no, you have all this power and you haven't done anything to help your people that you've emulated.
Right.
And when she put it to him that way, and then she quoted a writer that he likes, he realized that she wasn't just a street thug. She was smart and realized what she wanted to do in her potential, and that she had a point. And all the years he's been on Earth, he finally turned around and said, okay, well, what do you expect me to do? She's like, here, put on this costume and you should be an icon for our people. That's it. That's your name, Icon. Gave the mask. He's like, okay, I'm going to try it.
Pure jokes. No, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, you can see that was all pretty much packs into issue 1. Now in issue 2, of course, now the police are dealing with a hostage situation and they have the gun belt, the SWAT team's there. And what do they see? A black man that can fly in tights. Oh my gosh. Who do you think the cops start shooting? Yeah.
Oh boy. Oh, there's.
Oh dear.
Oh dear. It's, you know what? It's funny when you say that particular scene. I see it's a slight similarity to Hancock.
Yes.
So it has that similarity, like saying, "Good job, officer.
Yeah,
you're doing a good job." In the sense, like saying, like, you. I'm surprised to see you. Like, you're scaring me. Like, you have the ability to be a powerful person who could. What are you doing here? Who are you? Why are you in a super suit? What? I'm confused. Pop. Really?
Uh-huh.
I'm trying to be helpful. I didn't do nothing wrong. Like, oh, good God.
Well, yeah, man. And that's why I used to say back in the 80s and in the early 90s, used to make jokes all the time saying, why is Superman white? Because people be afraid if they saw a black man flying. They're like, oh God, no, he's going for my purse at supersonic speed. I know it's a stupid joke, but if you catch what the thumb of what, Mike, sorry, what the creators were doing at the time, Dwayne, sorry. Yeah, Dwayne and everyone else a part of Milestone, they were taking experiences they felt, seen, lived, and they put it into these characters in the same situation. Mm-hmm. And superpowers does not stop racism. Superpowers will not stop certain situations. But Icon was supposed to give people a sign of hope. And he went in there and they hit some hard hitting issues within this series. So he went in there, he stopped the criminals, he came out. But at first, the cops started attacking him. Now, keep in mind, he's invulnerable. Raquel, who goes by Rocket at this point, has that belt that gives her that force field. And when a cop hit her, she hit the cop back because that's something, that she wanted to do. Not going there to start a fight, but the fact that, oh, you hit me, but now you hit me and it doesn't hurt. Well, I'm going to hit you back and let's see how it feels.
Right.
And bring them down. And that's, something as a person of color, you're going to sit there and go, oh, you always hear those phrases like stick it to the man. Well, that's where it came out. And during that whole skirmish, Icon didn't do anything. He just said, calm down. Don't do anything. We're not doing anything wrong, officer. Why are you trying to hit me? Why are you trying to shoot me? He stood there very calmly for the amount of power he has, because on par, his powers bring him on par with Superman.
Correct.
Right? He's not just a Superman character. Like, he really is Black Superman and on par with that. So this goes back and forth. They get that settled. They understand it. He goes in there because keep in mind, he knows the law because in his secret identity, he's a lawyer. Goes, deals with it, sees the mayor, figuring, and he understands the mayor's trying to manipulate him at one point. And he's like, no, I won't be manipulated, and goes on. And they would always meet at this one bridge where it's a rundown bridge, and they always kind of meet up there. Icon realized how things have deteriorated, how things are a struggle for Black people. And he really went out there to be a ray of hope and show that you can live your life a certain way without resorting to violence. A lot of the times with Icon, he never throws a first punch. A lot of times he doesn't even get into a fight. He'll let people hit him and he'll just stand there and say, okay, we done? Let's talk. And I like that approach also. It wasn't that because you're in a superhero, fists are flying, you start punching your way through anything. He really sat there trying to understand once, Raquel opens his mind to it. So these are his story arcs that I thought were moments that were interesting with the character. He does help out Raquel in his own way. He doesn't take pity on people, but at the same time, he will help those that want to be helped.
Right.
He does get in there and tries to stop those that are not doing right. And I really like the fact, as I said, he wasn't Mr. going in there blowing things up. His goal was to work with others, team up, keep people safe, and make a better tomorrow.
Clearly, Icon's position was more of the not say the delegate, but he was basically trying to be the person of trying to be a person of reason. He wants to be able to have that conversation with people and basically say, okay, like you said, why are you shooting at me? Let's talk about it, whatever the case would be. His approach, and this is the great way that the writers, Dwayne and them, were bringing it to give this character a different approach of things. We've accustomed, like we're saying, Icon is basically the Black Superman. Yeah. We are accustomed to Superman, assessing a situation. He was America's Boy Scout and everything like that, so he was good. But he would then approach it sometimes with that type of confidence of, sometimes not hit first, but Superman at least might have to come fist to cuff. The great thing about Icon was giving us the viewpoint, the point of view of, if I'm someone who is Black in America and have superpowers, I'm going to be looked at as someone who is a threat. I have to approach them from a different angle, and the writers were able to portray that very well, so we can understand. Like Barry's saying, very rarely or ever did you see Icon ever made the first blow. Was always trying to be the delegate at that point to try to resolve the situation. So that was the great thing about the character and how he was portrayed, and it made a difference because you don't see that type of approach that often.
No, not at all. And I said when they turned around and didn't shy away from certain storylines. One of the storylines I like that they dealt with is he's going out there, he's dealing with crime, and a group of people see him. And they walk up to him and it's like, hey, Icon. And they show you like he has no respect for half a second. And then he's like, what's the problem? He goes, how come you're always, cracking down on us, meaning cracking down on Black people? You're stopping Black people. How come you don't patrol white neighborhoods? And he had to stop himself and look. He's like, well, I'm mostly in a Black neighborhood because I'm a Black person. It's like, well, how come you don't stop any white crime? He goes, well, I do. And then that was a story arc of saying that he was always there, policing the Black populace, but not white. And he had to kind of deal with that storyline. Some other fun storylines that they came up with is their take of Power Man. Oh my gosh. They turned around, they dressed him, they drew him in his classic kind of costume the same way. So he had like a yellow leotard, right? We still had the metal headband, right? He didn't say Merry Christmas. I can't remember what he said. He still had the afro, and what it was, he had a very similar origin to Luke Cage, where he got, picked up, thrown in jail, got an experiment, and gave him the diamond hard skin, increased his strength and all that. But his brain was still frozen in the 70s, even though he was currently in 1993.
Yep.
So he's walking around talking like he's from a 70s black
rotation.
Yeah.
Black rotation.
Right.
Rotation.
Right. If you're not sure what I'm talking about, go back and catch a more recent one. You go and watch
Dynamite.
Dynamite. With Michael J. White. You go and watch, Black Dynamite, and you'll see that's exactly how he carried on. Hilarious. So that was their kind of poke at that. And I like the fact that, as I said, they kind of poked on the Luke Cage persona, even though I like Luke Cage. You got to take it as a comedian. You got to take the joke. You got to give the joke. You got to take a joke. Right. And the fact of they put up some things of, hey, you're always patrolling Black neighborhoods, not white. And then he changed to say, no, I'm global. It's just I'm more focused here and he looked at Rocket, and Rocket's like, well, it seems like we're always here. Yeah, we got to go and expand our horizons a little bit. with that, he comes across another person in the Blood Syndicate who's also from outer space, and they have a conversation, and he's able to finally communicate and kind of call to have someone come and pick him up and take him back home. And there's more to that storyline. But before we get ahead, let's keep to the basis of this conversation. So why do we keep calling him Black Superman? Not because he can fly, not because he's invulnerable, but let's go through it. He has, superhuman strength, which is on par with Superman. Super speed and reflexes on par with, definitely superhuman Superman. He has superhuman stamina, flight, as we mentioned before, and he manipulation of gravitrons and magnetic fields. He can go way beyond supersonic. Superhuman senses. So that's like sight, taste, smell, hearing. He's got all that enhanced mental perception.
Right.
So his man is pretty much a genius. Right. Invulnerable, healing factor, energy generation, and concussive force bolts, stun bolts. He's got all this in his repertoire, and a bit more. So it's really important that at the time when Milestone was going, and they decided to close down Milestone and bring all those characters together under the DC banner in the DC universe, it did have a competition between Superman and Icon in a storyline called Worlds Collide. This went on for a month or so, and brought those characters to par, and really had Superman and Icon fighting, and were forced to fight each other in that storyline. So he is that archetype character. But unlike Superman, he had experienced racism. Unlike Superman, his family and friends are still out there. Unlike Superman, you realize that he left family behind that he gets to see again when he gets back home.
Right.
He's a Temerian. Happens all there. And on top of it, they got brought into the DC universe. Now, even though we don't see him much, they're still there in the DC universe, and Rocket is still around. Right. And Icon, I think, just needs a good storyline to bring this character out and about. That's for sure. So you see him crisscross in all the other books. So you'll see Icon show up in Hardware. You'll see him show up with Blood Syndicate. You'll see him show up with Static. Mm-hmm. So he does show up in all these books to one degree or another. They do crisscross. He has made appearances on TV where you've seen him on Justice League, Young Justice. You see him in the background a couple of times.
Right.
So he, is definitely there. In politics, he's got his political views, but I guess you would say he's more of a conservative Republican. That's the best way to kind of describe where his persona is. He gets there. And his relationship with Icon, and I don't mean a romantic relationship, but the relationship, it's a true friendship. He looks at her as a friend, maybe a sister, someone he really can confide in. And as I said, she was the one that came up with the whole Icon idea, and he went with it. I think at that time in his life, he was done hiding and wanted to just be out more. He didn't know how to do it himself.
Right. I mean, and if you look at it, since he was born, born in 1839, he's been through slavery. He's been through oppression and all that, the Great Depression, slavery, just the certain type of turmoil that's been, in American history. So you're now looking at the 70s, going to the 80s, going to the 90s. And at that point, at that time, even when the writing of the story, life has been much better than previous decades, generations. Yes. So he can clearly say that. I agree with you in that regard, Barry, that the way the writers wrote him, that's saying, you know what, I should do something now. Now I'm not trying to hide my abilities, hide myself from the outside world, so they can start recognizing that. Because he was part of the Milestone world, there was no indication of any other type of heroes, to my immediate recollection, prior to him. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. That I can think of off the top of my head.
Nope.
Because everybody, we're talking about Rocket, we're talking about Static, and everybody all came out from the Dakota Big Bang explosion, that type of theory, so nothing was really brought to light beforehand. So I'm going to take it that now that life is much better than it was for him years ago, realizing I have the ability and that I can say, you know what, I this young lady has opened my eyes to certain things, because I
Right.
think it is in episode 2 that he was, again, like you were saying, that he was just like having a mental check to himself. He was doing his own like self awareness to himself, and realizing that, yeah, I I have these abilities. Life is not the greatest for Black America, and let me, she swayed me to make me rethink my approach and how me having these abilities and just staying quiet, I should be an icon to people and see if I can do something better with myself. So I would say that, not because in the 1980s, maybe he wasn't thinking that too tough type of stuff,
No. Right.
the
Right.
Cold War and all that kind of stuff, Reagan and all that kind of Gorbachev stuff I can remember from back in the days. Now we're getting to 90s, things a little bit better, like R&B is going good. Bobby Brown's out here. New editions coming up. You know what I mean? Like, listen, we got some good music going on. Like, say, you know what? I think I can step out and start doing stuff better. So I'm gonna go with that. Tony's been dropping tunes. Like, there's a Pop Daddy's coming up. Bad Boy's breaking up. Let's let him come together. Like, you know what? I think I can come together. So I'm gonna say that it was a perfect time for him to like reveal himself and bring himself to the forefront. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Let's
I can
go.
go with that. I can definitely go with that. And just so I remember, the character we're talking about, his name is Buck Wild. So that's who the Luke Cage version of in the Dakota universe was Buck Wild, mercenary man. Instead of Luke Cage, hero from Hire, it was Buck Wild, mercenary man.
Mercenary man.
Wow, that he needs his own thing. So we've gone through that. We've gone through the history. Now, in this whole world, we've been discussing about it over and over, and we're really going into Milestone. Milestone Comics the whole month of this. We're going to come down. Who would you see playing this iconic character called Icon, as we discuss it on the iConis podcast?
Let me say who I'm gonna bring. This person is already in the comic world. He's on the opposite side, so it's not DC. He's in Marvel, but it has some characters. Some actors are able to play another universe and coming into the DC universe.
Right.
I would like to bring to the forefront Mr. Winston Duke, aka Mubaka. I could see him when he was, listen, he's a great actor. He has the ability to be that serious face and have that sternness, as we know from Mubaka and so forth.
Yeah.
I can see that it's not fully portrayed in the comics that he has, let's say, a funny side. The Icon has not a funny side, but has a more relaxed side. But when I've seen him in Spencer Confidential, when he played, let's say, the updated version of Hawk,
right?
He gave a different spin to Hawk that I wasn't expecting, and I liked it. So he had that roughness, but he had the ability to be, still have some soft. He had a soft side to him, and this is where I would appeal to that for when he had the conversation with Rocket, and how Rocket was able to persuade him to have that. Again, even when he was Mabaka had that soft side, like saying,
right.
So that's where I'm like thinking, you know what? I need someone who is known to be a solid actor, a person who's like, when you see him, like he is a vision of like, yeah, you are an icon. You are something that we've loved him in these two shows. Mabaka, like he stole the scenes. He stole the camera. When his time was on, he stole the camera. He just gravitated you to it. So I'm like thinking, yeah, for me, Icon would be Winston Duke. Just saying. That's just me.
Okay. I got to give you that. Okay. So I went through a couple of schools of thought for Icon, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because as Icon, he really has to stand out. So first thought, I went with 50 Cent, because I know we always reach out to 50.
Woo! Listen, I know we haven't spoken that part. I was about to say, when we come back to it, in my head, I was thinking, we have to have a conversation with 50.
Right.
But you brought 50 to the forefront.
Right. So that's what I said. But I know 50 likes more the producing than being in front of the camera, likes being behind the camera. So I'm like, okay. And would 50 go on for like would you want to do a one and done movie, or would he actually go in for a series? So I was like, no, man, go deeper. And then of course, Idris Elba. But I'm like, go deeper. And then I hit with hold on. I said, oh, let me really go off kilter. And I went Maurice Chestnut. Right?
Okay.
Right? And he, he's got the height, he's got the physique, and I'm like, he's already on a show, and I'm like, I've seen him do obviously comedy, I've seen him do drama,
right.
And I'm like, okay, let me see if I really can push it. So then I did come across Winston Duke. Right? Your boy, Mubaka, right. and I'm from Black Panther. And I'm like, yeah, that's still good, but I want to see. So I went finally in my final decision after all this, and that's showing you just my frame of mind when I'm looking at the character, reading it, looking. I went with Trevante Rhodes. So Trevante Rhodes was in the movie Moonlight back in 2016. He was in the movie The Predator in 2018. 12 Strong in 2018. So he's gotta look. So when you see him, if you were to shave him down, like shave off his beard, I mean, he's 6 foot. Like, he's a tall brother.
Right.
He's 6 foot. He's got the physique. He's got the eyes. And that kind of portrays, because I'm thinking, okay. And I really came down to, like, I said Travis Duke, Trevante Rhodes, and Maurice Chestnut, and and I was really kind of playing around with it, but finally I landed on Trevante Rhodes. That's who I'm gonna go with as my final answer, with him to play the Icon. He's got these eyes that portray the power, but he's controlling it at the same time. Like, it's kind of the thing of, I can punch you through 3 walls. I'm looking at it. I'm looking to look at you, so you know that I'm thinking I can punch you through 3 walls, but I'm not going to do it yet. Keep talking. Let's see what we can get to. Are we good? You understand my power? Now let me talk to you and go through with it that way. This is who I see that can play, in my personal opinion. If I had to cast an Icon movie or a series, this is who I'd go with. And just on a side note, there was a Icon web series that was out a couple of years back. So take a peek at that one, everyone. But if I had to go big picture deal, and that's exactly what I want. I wouldn't want, I know we're always saying, like, a lot of times series, I would say Icon needs to be a big picture deal. Icon, Rocket, it'd be cool to see them in series, but depending on what it is, you got to give them some more meat on the bone, so to speak, to really get into these characters. Right. So that's who I'm going with. So I know, Rod, that's my thoughts. Yes.
Okay. Interesting. Like, I'm looking at him, and I could see something. I could possibly see something. I won't lie. I could possibly see something. Right. I'm hearing what you're saying, and I'm like, okay. You give me that look, like, the picture that he has currently right now. You can see, like, yeah, you know what? I could hurt you. I could hurt you.
I could.
I'm just letting you know.
Once you know, but we're good. But don't take away anything from Travis Duke, because that's who I was looking at one point. And I'm like, and then Maurice Chestnut was like, so that's where I'm at. And as always, right? 50. Where you at? I was up in the club. Didn't see you there. What's going on, 50?
Stop it, man. Stop it.
Black, was it? Black Mafia family. 50. What happened? I'm still with the whole adage of, yes, let 50 be the executive producer on all the projects dealing with Milestone, so we can have some authentic street awareness of where these characters are coming from, and put it together. 50 build that world. That's what it is. Not Warner Brothers. Warner Brothers, you don't understand. You can't even get Batman and Superman right? You have the people to play them, and then you give them these BS storylines at times. No. I like who you pick. I don't like how you use them, or you cut them too early. So let's your best thing is, you should do what Sony did, where Sony let Marvel take over for Spider-Man and made Spider-Man the way he was, but then Sony took it back and you did Morbius. So Warner Brothers, let me give you the best example you can do. let 50 do what 50 needs to do. Let Curtis Jackson put this together. You signed the check, let him put it together. That's it. 50, have your people reach out to Warner Brothers. Make sure someone calls us on the way too, so we can be there once you have everything said and done, because we want to do interviews. That's all it has to be.
There you go. There you go. Listen, this is a great opportunity. 50, we were saying this, man. You know, you have the track record to build iconic stories,
yes,
to build iconic universes. Like this is what it is. Like Power is just a universe on its own.
Yes.
So giving you that, listen, like I said, like hopefully someone has said something to you once sometime in passing, and they said, yo, you know what? Have you ever thought of doing some type of comic book type of characters? And maybe it just wasn't, but it might have not have been at the right time. Everything is in the season. I'm just saying, you plant this seed now, you're going to harvest. You're going to harvest. This is a good opportunity. Like, check it out, man. Check it out. You're good.
G-Unit money. Right on. So
that's it.
That's all it's going to be. Money.
That's all it's going to be.
Everyone wins. Nobody loses. Only time we can lose is if Warner Brothers takes control. No. So that being said, we will wrap this up real quick. Where Rod, you're going with Travis Duke.
Winston Duke.
Sorry. No, Winston Duke.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going with Trevante Rhodes, who could play Icon in the world, in a movie, maybe a good series, limited series, right? But he's got to be the big character. That's what we're saying. 50, executive producer of the whole shebang. Warner Brothers, just signed a check. Just sign a check. 50, make sure you reach out to us, brothers. And this is how this could come to be.
Yeah.
That being said, this is in line with our episodes of Juneteenth. So happy Juneteenth, everybody. Celebrate that. We know it's past, but this is why we kind of geared up to do Milestone during the month of June. Also, it was also my birthday. And remember, like, subscribe, and share. Don't let the channel be a secret. Let people know. Let's go and get it done. Any last thoughts, Rod?
No, listen, everything is, everybody, make sure, like Barry said, sign by subscribing, support, share, pass this on to people. Listen, we're out here, we're having fun. I'm glad you guys are enjoying it. Just let everybody know, spread the love, let everybody know what we're doing. And listen, again, have any comments? Feel free to drop it in the below,
down below,
in the comments below. We check it out. We will check it out and answer back whatever possible. Let's do this. Listen, we're all here to have fun. Let's go.
Exactly. Exactly.
Let's all do it. Let's all come together, man.
That's right. And this episode is episode number 60, and we're still going. So on that note, remember that I'm one of your hosts, Barry 3D. I'm here with
DJ Rod C. Let's go.
Yes, this is the iConis podcast. Thank you for tuning in. And as we always say, this whole world was put together by a piece of paper, a pencil, and lots of imagination. Keep on dreaming.
Let's do it.
This is how we do. Oh, we done.